Hello, we're going to do a quick walkthrough on this practice paper sheet for Unit 2B polygon angle sums. One of the things that we're going to see a lot throughout all of these practice problems is that the three angles inside of a triangle add up to 180. Another way of writing that is I could say blank plus blank plus blank equals 180. For this first one, we have a question mark plus 135 plus 20 equals 180. 135 and 120 can be combined to make 155. I'll use X instead of a question mark just to be similar to other problems that we've seen. And when I subtract 155 from each side, we would get that X is equal to 25. Similarly, I can look at problem number 2 here, and I would have blank plus blank plus blank. The three angles inside a triangle are going to add up to 180. We'll call this one X, and the other two 80 and 65. 80 and 65 combine to 145. So I have X plus 145 equals 180. Again, subtract the same thing from both sides. And we would get X equals 35. Now let's see what happens when we start mixing in a few other pieces. In this one, I noticed that I have angles both inside and outside of a triangle. And the one that I'm trying to find is also outside of a triangle. What I'm going to do here is use some reasoning to know that these two angles make a linear pair. So 67 and this inside piece will add up to 180. If I subtract 67 from both sides, I would get this first angle, let's call it X, to equal 113. So I know that that is 113. Now let's try to find this angle here. Well, I see that these three angles are the angles inside a triangle. So I could have 22 plus 113 plus, let's call this one Y, are going to add up to 180. 22 and 113 combine to 135. When I subtract 135 from each side, I would get Y equals 45. So that should be 45 for that inside angle there. However, I want that to add up to this outside piece. To find that last angle, I know that that's going to be 45 plus the question mark is going to equal a straight line or linear pair, 180. This actually is related to one of the most recent calculations I did. I know that 135 plus 45 equals 180. So 45 plus 135. I'll leave number 4 for you to try on your own. Let's look at number 5. It's similar to number 3 in that it has angles inside and outside. First, let's take a look at these angles here. If I know that the outside one is 58, I could calculate this inside one, and we'll call it x. X plus 58 is going to equal to 180. When I subtract 58 from both sides, I would get x equals 122. So that's 122. Now if I want to solve for this third angle inside the triangle, I could say 38 plus 122 plus, let's call this y. Those are 3 angles inside a triangle. That would equal 180. 38 and 122 would combine to make 160. So this angle y would be 20 if I subtract 160 from both sides. Then I notice that this outside angle, that is the question mark, is a vertical angle, or it's across the vertex from these 2 lines that are intersecting. That means that it is also equal to 20 degrees. Now let's try number 6. I see that this angle out here says 30, and it, again, is a vertical angle. That lets me know that the inside here is also 30. I could use these 2 angles to find this third angle in the corner. I would know that 30 plus 86 plus, let's call this third angle x, equals 180. 30 and 86 will be 116. When I subtract 116 from both sides, x should equal 64. So this angle is 64. To solve for the outside piece, let's call it y. I need to know that 64 plus another angle make a straight line where they would add up to 180. 64 plus y equals 180. Well, this relates back to a calculation I just recently did. I knew that 116 plus 64 is 180. So 64 plus 116 is also 180. So this is 116 degrees. Now let's try some equations that have x value or x in it already. When I look at this first one, I notice a couple of new things. One, it has an x for one of the angle measures, but it also has this marking, which means 90 degrees. I have 3 angles inside a triangle. So I can add those 3 up to total to 180. That would give me 90 for that right angle corner, 70 for this other angle, and then 5x for the third angle. It's asking me to solve for x. Let's put our combined like terms together. So 90 and 70 is 160. Plus 5x is 180. When I subtract 160 from both sides, I would get 5x equals 20. Then I can divide by 5 on both sides, and I would get x equals 4. Very similar. I have 3 angles that are inside a triangle. That means I would use 3 angles total up to 180. That gives me 60 plus 70 plus x plus 61 equals 180. 60 and 70 is 130 plus x plus 61 equals 180. 130 and 61 total to 191. And then when I subtract 191 from both sides, I would get x equals negative 11. This doesn't mean that this angle is negative 11 degrees, but x is negative 11, which should make that angle actually 50 degrees. Let's take a look at the other side. This one is similar in that it uses some angles, both inside and outside. Let's start with this angle here. I see that the outside is 70, but these two together would make 180. So I'm going to say, we'll call this x plus 70 equals 180. So then x equals 110 if I subtract 70 from both sides. So that's 110. For this top piece, we have that angle equals 30, and the other angle that goes to the inside of the triangle is a vertical. So that's also 30 degrees. That gives me 30 and 110 plus a third angle. We'll call this one y. Those three together are going to add up to 180, just like any other triangle. So 30 plus 110 plus y equals 180. 30 and 110 is 140. And then if I subtract 140 from each side, I get that y equals 40. So this inside angle is 40. Now earlier we had used x, and we probably should have used a different letter because we're going to use x again, but it's not the same x. Right now I have two angles, 40 and 17x plus 4, and they make a linear pair, a straight angle. That means that those two together would be the same as blank plus blank equals 180. So 40 plus 17x plus 4 add up to 180. 40 and 4 can combine to make 44. When I subtract 44 from both sides, I would get 17x equals 136. When I divide both sides by 17, you would find that x equals 8. I will leave you to try and figure out number 10. For these next few, not only do you have to find a way to solve for x, but you also need to figure out the measure of one of the angles. In this case, we're looking in this corner to find the measure of angle A, that corner angle right there. I see that this outside angle is 70, which means that it would make a linear pair with the inside and add up to 180. Let's call this y. So y plus 70 equals 180. That means that y equals 130, or 110, pardon me, 110. So that's 110. So I have 3 angles on the inside, except the third one I already kind of have, but I just need to mark it so I know what I'm doing. X plus 57 is on the outside. That means the inside, where it's vertical, it's the same as the outside in this case. It would also be x plus 57. That gives me 3 angles inside a triangle, so I can say x plus 57 plus 110 plus x plus 37 equals 180. We have a lot of things that we can combine here. The x and the x would make 2x. 57, 37, and 110. Let's see what those 3 combine to. Well, 50 and 30 is 80, plus 110 is 190. And then we add another 14 to that. That would give us 204. And we are still equal to 180. If I subtract 204 from both sides, the difference between 180 and 204 is negative 24. When I divide both sides by 2, x equals negative 12. The final step for me, though, is to use this value and plug it in to the x to find the measure of angle A. So A, the measure of angle A, is equal to negative 12 plus 37, or the difference between 12 and 37, which is 25 degrees. Let's do one more like that. We'll do number 14. For number 14, I notice that I have a 110 on the outside. I could quickly calculate this number on the inside because those make a linear pair. So y plus 110 equals 180. That means that y equals 70 if I were to subtract 110 from 180. So that's 70. Up at top, I have x plus 56 for this angle A. That's the one I'm going to need to find the measure of at the end. I also have x plus 66 for this outside angle that happens to be vertical to one of the inside angles for the triangle. So that inside angle there is also x plus 66. Now I can take my 3 angles, 70, x plus 66, and x plus 56, add those 3 together to equal the total inside a triangle, which is 180. Blank plus blank plus blank equals 180. we have 70 plus x plus 66 plus x plus 56 equals 180. 60 and 50 make 110, and then I add 70, and that's 180, and I still need to add the ones, which is the two sixes. So I have 180 plus two more sixes is another 12. It gives me 192. Then I have two x's, and that totals to 180. When I subtract 192 from each side, I would get 2x equals negative 12. When I divide both sides by 2, I would get x equals negative 6. But now I need to plug this in to that x to figure out what the angle measure for A is. So measure of angle A is equal to negative 6 plus 56, which is 50. So measure of angle A is 50 degrees. For these last problems, they are purely numerical, but they just have multiple steps to them. So let's see what we can do to trace our way all the way across the shape to find this extra question mark. If this is 105, so is the inside because it's a vertical angle, so that's also 105. 105 and 35, and let's call this angle X. Those three together are going to add up to 180. So 35 plus 105 plus x equal 180. 135 and 105 is 140. When I subtract 140 from both sides, x equals 40. Then I have x is equal to this other angle on the other side, so I know that that's also 40. Now I have three angles inside a triangle here, and 40, 68, and the question mark. So 40 plus 68 plus the question mark equal 180. 40 and 68 is 108. When I subtract 108 from each side, I would get 72. And I'll leave 16 for you to try on your own. Thank you.